Welcome back to New York Talk, episode 167. I'm your host, Elyse DeLucci. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to the Upper East Side. Apologies for this voice. I am a little under the weather. Every time the seasons change, I get this like scratchy, raspy, horrible, feels like a flu, feels like strep, not really. Anyway, moving on. Fact of the day. The most expensive grocery store in America. No, it's not Whole Foods. Erewhon, okay? I'm sure you probably heard of this place, Erewhon, out in LA. It's like a social media influencer's dream. Everybody's posing pictures from Erewhon, right? It's the place that sells $18 smoothies. They have a $20 Hailey Bieber smoothie. And somebody was talking about the meaning of Erewhon. And I was like, the meaning? I have no idea. And I looked it up, and apparently it's an anagram for the word nowhere. Like, remember maybe 10, 15 years ago, there was a bunch of people running around naming their kids Neve, which is the anagram for heaven. Well, apparently Erewhon, the anagram for nowhere. But one of the co-founders actually said that it's not just the anagram. The name is from a novel, and there's inside the novel, a novel by Samuel Butler. And inside the novel, there is a place called Erewhon. And Erewhon is a utopia where people are responsible for their own health and their own sicknesses. So that's where the name came from. It's a story of satire, Victorian era England, if you want to pick it up. And I don't actually I don't know the name of the book, so I don't really know how helpful that is. But moving on, the other day, my cousin texted me, and she was like, Elyse, the last podcast you talked about this product, PRID. And I don't know if you remember that. It was my product of the day, and it was this salve, and it comes in this little, aluminum tin bomb type of jar, and it's this salve that's supposed to like be a cure-all. But I said to you last episode, I haven't used it yet. I bought it, but who am I to recommend a product, but I haven't used it. But so she texts me and she says, I have it. She said, and it's the best thing ever. So I'm like, you got to tell me, because I'm going to give an update. She said she puts it on an ingrown hair, and the hair overnight will come out. She said if she has a pimple, she puts it on a pimple, little Band-Aid over it, and then next morning, pimple, releases itself. Again, haven't had the need to use PRID yet, but if that works as she says it works, I mean, how is this not more of a popular product? Right? In other news, Billy Joel's mansion, the Piano Man's mansion, just went for sale out in Long Island. He put it on the market for, $50 million. $50 million. He's selling it because the taxes are too high, he said, and the taxes are about $500,000 a year. He doesn't live there anymore. He lives down in Florida. He moved to Manalapan, Florida, and he has kids, apparently, school-age kids. I mean, I knew he had kids, but school-age, they're like 7 years old. And what is this guy, like 70-something? Anyway, he has school-age kids. And he said, once you have school-age kids, you're kind of, stuck, air quotes, where you, settle down. So he's in Florida for now. But the reason why I'm telling you this isn't because of the price of the house or where he lives. It's the story, if you don't know. Billy Joel grew up middle-class kid out in Hicksville, Long Island, lived in a modest house, he says, on a 1/4 of an acre piece of property. To me, that's not modest, considering I don't even have a view of the sky. Moving on. So for extra money, right, he got a job in Long Island on the shoreline shucking oysters. And he said I have the quote. He said, when I was a teenager, I grew up on a 1/4 acre lot in Hicksville, Long Island, and I'd ride my bike up here and take the ride and look at all the rich people on the Long Island Sound and curse them out. And he said when he was out, and this is the best part of it, when he was out on the water, he said, while I was out on the water, I used to see a huge brick mansion, and I thought to myself, rich bitches. I'll never live in a house like that. And in 2002, he bought that very house, which is the house that is going on sale. You see what I'm saying? The dreams come true. The dreams come true. Now he has to go from well, at the time, he has to go from that young boy riding the bike to buying and closing on the mansion, right? A lot of people, they say, oh, it's not really about, they say when you're visualizing things, you shouldn't really visualize the end goal. Like you want to, like his end goal, right? He wanted to be a musician. He had to put that out in the universe. He had to visualize that. By the way, how California am I sounding right now? But people say that you should also be visualizing the journey of it. Like, what does it take to get there? Sleepless nights, I don't know, getting rejected from, I don't know, bands or getting thrown out of clubs or, being a starving artist, whatever that journey is, right? But anyway, I love that story because, how amazing. You're a little kid and you're seeing something wonderful, and then one day it gets to be yours. That very exact thing. I just think that's so great. Something else that I read that I've been thinking a lot about, and it's not political, so it's about immigration, but food and immigration, specifically food and immigrants. And I can't remember where I read this, but the idea of the article was that so many immigrants, from all times, all times, all periods of time in America or other places in the world, right? But let's use America. So many immigrants, they come here from other countries, and when they come here, they make the decision to be here because we're a free country and they want a better life. But what they are also making the decision to do is to spend the rest of their lives in the United States, not getting to enjoy the foods of their cultures. And a lot of times, they're cut off, air quotes, from the delicacies that they enjoyed eating from their mothers or their mother's cooking. The article mentions Namibia and another place, a city in Paraguay, which I can't pronounce. And they said, take those two places in the world. Like those people, they come into the United States and they, they're in this foreign land and they're meeting all new people and they're, setting up their home and how food, it gives you that naches, that's the Yiddish word for that filled up inside, it makes you feel all nice and fuzzy like your kids, they give you naches, And food obviously does that too. But so these people, they come here and they don't get to have that feeling, that comforting home feeling, because those food items, they're not available at ShopRite, Walmart, Target, And the article goes on to talk about the inaccessibility of the home foods, and it triggers the feelings of isolation, and it almost triggers an aggressive feeling of rootlessness. And I never ever thought about food as that way, right? Like, so us, if you were born and raised in this country, right? And your parents are still alive, or your grandmother, whoever, your grandparent, whatever. There's a lot of people that when they, they're homesick, it's not really just about going home. It's about going home and your mother or your whoever, your aunt, they're going to cook you something that's going to fill you up. Like, for example, when I go to my grandmother's house, she wants to make, escarole and beans. She wants to make pasta fazool, and it's not anything particularly fancy, but it just gives me that feeling of like being wrapped in a warm, cozy blanket, right? And these people, they don't have that option. But what the article goes into saying is sometimes, there's these stores, particularly in, urban areas like where I live, there's these immigrant-owned stores like the African grocery store or the Hispanic grocery store. And, you always go in and you see, if you go in, you see a lot of people hanging out, right? Hanging out inside, outside. It's just like part of the culture. And one of the reasons why they go hang out in there isn't because they want to hang out amongst, soda and loaves of bread. It's because however the stores get these items into the country, their foods from their homelands, they want to be around the foods. And more often than not that they're going to meet people, landsmen, another Yiddish word, like their countrymen also, shopping in the store or whatever. And the stores act as like this retrieval of memories and helps boost their identity, past and new. And I don't know. I mean, it's sort of, I just love it. Like I said, we hear a lot of things about food. We think a lot about things about our own foods and how they make us feel. But do we ever really drill down and think why do foods make us feel like that? I know with the tooth, for example, every time we would go to Wales, his mother, she would always have, what the hell are they called? Oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God, I swear to God, I'm feel like I'm just getting ancient. They're not shortbreads. It's like a tiny little pancake with currants in them, and it'll come to me. The second I'm going to be done with this podcast, I'm going to be like, that's what they were. Anyway, but his mother always had a little plate of these homemade Welsh cakes made, right? Always had a little homemade plate of these Welsh cakes made. And we would get to the house and he would devour them. He would devour them in a day, 2 days. And she would be like, you ate them all. And, it's, I don't even know if they were the best Welsh cakes. Actually, they probably were, because I told you my ex-mother-in-law, she wasn't kind at all to me, whatever. But she loved baking, and she was a very, very good baker. Which, by the by, let me say this. It's not that she wasn't kind. She was kind in her own way. And at the time I was younger, I thought that being kind was being very close to your mother or mother-in-law, hitting up TJ Maxx, or what they call it, TK Maxx. Yes, that's true. Chit-chatting on the phone, text, email. And she was more like a reserved, I'm going to take the back seat kind of lady. And I took that as you don't want anything to do with me. And then she was aggressive in her opinions. And I was forming a lot of my opinions, as we do in our 20s. So anyway, that's that. But she was a fabulous baker. And he loves her baking, as did I. But for him, it offered him that it definitely was that sense of home. Just something to think about. Which, by the by, as I'm saying this, makes it all that more important to make a recipe book, right? For your kids one day, in our eventual passing. I say I'm going to do this all the time. I have tons of recipes, some mine, some families, that I just keep, whether it's in Google Docs or scratch paper. I know, like you have things from newspapers you cut out. Which tangent, by the way, one of the listeners, hi, Maria. Well, I always forget, is your name Maria or Marie? But anyway, she sent me Arthur Schwartz rice pudding recipe. And I think she emailed it to me a few years ago. And it was literally like a photocopy of the newspaper article. And that's what I'm talking about. And I still have yet to make it, BTW. And I'm going to make it because I love rice pudding. I have to literally I have to hoist myself away from the Cozy Shack in the refrigerator section of the supermarket. I'm like, no, Cozy Shack, no, I'll just get the cottage cheese. But anyway, it's like that. I have thousands of books, cookbooks, magazines with just things shoved in there. I don't even know where they come from. Anyway, gotta make the recipe book. So, someone sent me something, and speaking of saving things, I'm saving this for my kids. And one of the things I do, and I don't have it in a book yet, is anytime I come across, well, not a lot of times when I come across an article in the Times, or even a girly magazine, whatever, or a poem or something, I rip it out and I save it for them or print it out. And I get a lot of print stuff, so I usually am doing ripping. And this is one of the things I'm about to read you that I'm saving for them. It's a little advice talk, right? It's titled "A Little Secret from a Therapist," and it says, "You cannot make people into something they are not. You can't make." Let me start over. You cannot make people into something they are not. You can't make people become the one. You can't make your parents better at parenting you. You can't make your friends, coworkers, family, or acquaintances be anything other than who they are. Life becomes more comfortable when you accept people as they are and respond accordingly. And there's this little passage after, and it says, repeat after me. I will be honest with myself about the limitations or capabilities of others, and from there, I will decide if and how I want to show up in my relationships. We can have a whole podcast on that little passage alone, and we don't need to, but it obviously, speaks for itself. And going back to the mother-in-law comment, which I didn't, really associate with this when I first read it. It was more like I said, advice for the kids. I remember I got engaged at 26. I got married at 27. And I was with Tooth for a long time before that. I remember wanting her to be something. I didn't try to change her. But what I was doing was I was trying to tap dance all different dances around her. Do you like this version of me? Do you like that version? We'll talk about this. We'll talk about that. Oh, I'll do it. That, it was, and at the end of the day, I just needed to be who I am, right? Whoever that was at that moment, and figuring myself out, and let her show up and be whoever she wants to be, right? Because. But I think that's such a good piece of advice for kids and my kids. Okay, moving on to shopping. It has gotten cold in New York City. I couldn't be happier. You don't understand. I am not a happy girl in the summer. Now look, if I had a boat, a terrace, a window with a view, a bay window that I can open up, a yard, I would be over the moon delightful, and maybe I would be able to deal with summer and even spring, but I can't. I sit in a closed-up apartment with the air conditioning on. So now that it's getting cold, it's fabulous. I keep the window open. It's icy and blah, blah. Anyway, and by the way, I understand this is reversed from a lot of people. A lot of people are like, what? You keep the window open in the winter and closed in the summer? But yes, I do. So the best part is obviously dressing, because I can't. I don't know about you, but I am a sweaty Italian girl. I am a sweaty, dark-haired, Mediterranean Italian lady. I can't do it. I can't walk around. I'm sweating. That's when you get the ingrown hairs. That's when I'm breaking out. That's when I feel like a wildebeest in an urban jungle. Okay, and I love turtlenecks, and you know what I love? I also love, I love a puffy vest. And I was walking last year down Madison Avenue, and Max Mara, which I love, is a beautiful store. So pricey. But they do have, by the way, twice a year annual sale, which I bought some of my cashmere coats. And they're expensive still, but they're very good, handmade, and they last forever. Anyway, so when I was walking by Max Mara last year, this is how much I loved it. They had this long vest, like a puffy vest, almost 3 inches above your knee. And it had a hood, and it zipped up, and it was so cute. It came in black, gray, I think maybe olive. And I looked at the price, and it was was like $1,000. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I swear, ever since I saw this, I was like, I have to get something like this, right? And I was on Land's End, which if you are listening to this podcast now-ish, they have a sale going on, and I have it written down. They have a similar vest. Now, look, is it going to be the same quality? No. Is it the same cool Italian design? Of course not. But it's a long puffer vest. It's Land's End. It's good quality. You know, they make stuff to last. So it's called Women's Wanderweight Packable Down Long Vest. It's, like I said, it's long, it's quilted, it comes past your ass, it zips, and the hood. The only thing is the hood's not detachable. So I ordered it, and I love it because when I don't need a coat, I could just run around with that, and it's perfect for comedy because, you know, we jump on stage and sometimes it's freezing, and again, you know, you don't want to be dressed. But so it's $150 regular price, and with a promotion it was $75, and I had a credit, so, you know, I like knocked it down some more. But I love it. Packable down, can't go wrong. No mommy wants, puffy down. That's all I'm gonna say. So I know a lot of people have been asking when I'm going on the road. It's still in the works. I have a big project going on right now, and that is slightly preventing me from not slightly. It is preventing me from being on the road and touring in clubs right now. But I do think that is going to let up soon, and I'll be able to share that with you. So more on that as it comes. Quote of the day by singer-songwriter Ricky Lee Jones: "You never know when you're making a memory." I'm Elyse DeLucci. This is episode 167 of New York Talk. Love to love you, baby.